complaint I make is not about Rwanda, a country I know well, and in which there is much that I admire. A compassionate policy is one that recognises we have a share of global responsibility. Outsourcing our share creates more opportunities for people smugglers to operate in and around Rwanda. It's not a solution, it's a mistake, and it will be a failure. When migrants arrive here, our system is grossly wasteful in both human and financial terms. Control has become cruelty. Staggering inefficiencies by successive governments trap people in limbo at incredible expense to the taxpayer, in the system for years, unable to build a life or to contribute to our society.
OK, well, joining me now is Ben Habib, former Brexit Party MEP, and Peter Edwards as well, former editor of Labour List. I'm going to ask you both the same question straight off the jump. Ben, I'll start with you. Is it ungodly to want to deport asylum seekers or have them processed elsewhere?
No, not at all. I mean, you know, the Channel migrants, which I assume we're talking about, have entered this country illegally. And contrary to what Welby said, they've come from a safe country. There's no requirement for compassion here. There's a requirement for the enforcement of British borders and British laws. They've come from France, for goodness sake. These people they're not coming to the United Kingdom because they're fleeing Libya or Iraq or some other war-torn zone. They're already safe, and we've got to keep that foremost in our minds.
Okay.
And as I've said before, Patrick, you know, we've got to develop border control ahead of a deportation policy. Everyone in this country, including, if you don't mind me saying so, GBNews, discusses the migrant crisis through the prism of deportation. Deportation is what you need when border control has gone wrong. These people mustn't be allowed to enter the United Kingdom in the first place.
All right, I want to come on to that, Ben, so stay where you are. Peter, you've had a little bit of time to think about your answer for this question. Peter Edwards, former editor of Labour List. Is it ungodly? I mean, I don't think it says anywhere in the Bible that if you pay a people smuggler to come from a safe country to another country, you need to be looked after, does it?
Well, I think it's not my role to specify what's godly and ungodly, but I completely support Archbishop Justin, not just on the content, where I actually happen to think that he's right, but more broadly, his right to speak out, because he did say successive governments. He's not partisan, he's not party political. Just as the Archbishop of Canterbury criticised the government in the 80s under Thatcher and various things carried out by Tony Blair in the 2000s. It's completely right that the Archbishop speaks out now, but I do agree with him on the substance as well.
OK. Ben, I was driving back quite late last night, actually. It was about 10 or 11 p.m, and I had a look down at my temperature gauge, and it said -5 through the kind of rural area I was driving through. And I couldn't help but feel initially very lucky that I was going to get back to a nice warm flat. I could afford to turn the heating on, thankfully. But I can also help but think about the people out on the streets at the minute. And if we have got hotel rooms available for people who are coming across the channel, should we not be doing more to house some people who are already here as well? And if deporting some people means that we can do that, is there any justification for it?
Well, I mean, absolutely right. You know, you have to look after your own before you look after people who've illegally enter the country. And we have a massive cost of living crisis, remember. We're spending $5 million a day on accommodation for these people who've entered our country illegally. And you can double that when you take into account free healthcare, free dental care, cash in their pockets, and all the other benefits they get. So we're talking about something like £5 billion a year for those people who've already entered the country. Remember, that was the tax cut that Liz Truss wanted to give working class people. And we can't do that, but that's been removed from us because of the problems, the financial state of the country. So here we are, you know, feather nesting these people that have entered the UK illegally, and it's just got to stop. And I reiterate, they're coming from France. They're not coming from war-torn zones.